chart here. This is actually my first video. It's kind of in prep for doing an online YouTube live session with you guys. This is Jim. Welcome. Glad you're here and nice to meet you. Well, what you're looking at is a hodgepodge of stuff. It is a bunch of lines on a page. I want to kind of give it some meaning to you so you understand what you're looking at. So what I'm going to do is kind of clear this out here and see if we can back up a little bit. So just so you can kind of understand where these lines come from, why I can know what's going to happen, and why I kind of think what's going on, and how I can make these calls that I've been making lately. Of course, I'm not always right, but as the markets play out, you get more and more information. You can see the patterns forming, and you can kind of know, okay, this is where we're going. Because with Elliott wave theory, you have possibilities, but they're basically a bunch of fives and threes constantly. And you're putting those together in patterns, and basically there can be different patterns and different possibilities, and so we try to see those. So let me just clear this chart a little bit and kind of back out and show you where we are in this big picture. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to go to the maybe let's try the 4-hour chart kind of here, and kind of make that big here. Oh, all my lines are all over the place. It's hard to see. Let me take that out. And we'll take that out. Awesome. Okay, so what we've got here is this point right down here. This is our low. This is where we hit our final low, and everybody's getting discouraged. And then what happened is we bounced up, and we came up here in 3 waves. You can see it. There's 1, 2, 3. We call it an ABC correction. There would be 5 waves coming down here, and you can count those as well. If I draw my 5-wave impulsive tool there, we can kind of see that as well. You got get it here so we can see it. There we go. Zoom out. Probably, if I had to guess at the way this went down, I didn't plan on doing this, but you got a 1 wave there, you got a 2, and then you're gonna have a 3 wave, which is this really long one, and I'm not gonna do that sub count there, but there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5 right there. Or 5 is down here. We might be putting in the 4 wave of a correction. Not sure, and this is why we have to wait and see what's going on. So this 5th wave, though, is going to have 5 waves. So if we just kind of take a peek at it, we're going to see we've got a 1 wave there, we've got 2 there, we've got 3. I think we're putting in the 4th wave, and then we're going to end up coming down a little bit further. This is why I've been saying, hey, we're potentially going into the 30s. Probably going to come down here for a 5th wave. So I know everybody's thinking bull, bull, bull right now. It's a bull market, but to be honest with you, that's what we were thinking right here. And if you go back in the market this is a correction right here, and everybody, when it was going up, everybody's feeling excited. That was a bull market, a bull market, a bull market, and everybody's just going up. But really, we have 5 waves to go down, and I think we're probably hitting the 5th wave right here. So that's kind of where we are. Whenever you do Elliott wave, you got to step back and you got to kind of see where we are from the big picture. So once we do that, we can kind of now go in and see what we're looking at. So we kind of go in here. We're going to zoom. I'm going to get rid of this so it's not a bunch of noise on the chart. What we're going to see is that a correction, when it starts going the opposite way of the trend, so it was coming down this way, when it starts going the opposite way of a trend, it's going to go up in a corrective wave, which will be ABC. So here we got our A, B, and C generally is the longest wave. The rules are like this. A can either be 5 waves or it can be 3 waves. So that's a difficulty you got to figure out. You can see here A is 3 waves. You got 1, 2, 3, and then B is always 3 waves. 1, 2, 3, and C is always 5 waves. And so what we're doing as the market's playing out, we kind of look at it and see, okay, where are the 5 waves? You can kind of see my orange picture here. We got 1, 2, 3 is always the biggest wave, and there can be 5 waves in 3, and so that's why you can count the subwaves here. There's 3, this is 4, and this is we're putting in 5. Now 5 also is going to have 5 waves. And so what we do is we're going to count the 5 waves within that 5th wave that we're making currently right now in Litecoin. So here's the 5th wave, and we're going to make 5 waves in that. So you can see this sub count within that count. You see this big orange? That's my big 5th wave we're trying to make. And so we should have 5 waves. So 1 is generally the smallest, like this. You got 1, 2, 3 is generally a pretty big one. And then we're putting in 4 right here. That's what we're in the middle of doing. Now 4 is always going to be 3 waves, just like 2 is always going to be 3 waves. Now, I haven't zoomed in enough for you to see those 3 waves, but you can see. I'll show you that in just a minute. So right now we're putting in the 4th wave, and you can see this big green candle right here. We're going up right here, and everybody, you might be getting kind of scared within the trade. Oh no, is it going up? Am I gonna miss out here? Well, 4 usually has the deepest correction and the biggest moves. So either there's 2 possibilities here. Either we are indeed going back up, which I don't think is the case, and we're putting in the 1 wave of the 5, and so that could be 4 right here. And this is a possibility for sure. We're going to look at it here in just a minute. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this, so we're putting in the 1 wave, and we need to get back in soon. Or this is a bigger 4. We got an A, B, C correction coming down, as in a triangle, which I've kind of drawn there. Now what you're going to find is that triangles always occur in wave 4s generally. They, if you see a triangle forming, you know it's a wave 4, and that's really helpful. So what I want to do now is just kind of break apart that hodgepodge and kind of show you why I think we're heading for where we're heading, and you can kind of see what you think. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Let's go to the 1 hour chart and kind of take a peek. And you can see this triangle forming. Now, we're not certain that this is a triangle. If we continue to go up from here, it's definitely not a triangle. It's just an ABC correction. It was a shortish C. The C was pretty short, and we're heading up. And that's the, like I said, the limitations of Elliott wave. Sometimes the markets will do that on you. They'll shorten them up. But if that's the case, what we do is we set our stop loss. We sold last night at 67 or 66 and a half. And so right now, the price of Litecoin right now, we're looking at we're looking at 66.07, and so what we want to do is make sure we set our stop buys above that, above 60. I would say 67, 67 and a half, and that way, if the market starts running up on us, we got our stop buys set, and the market won't run away from us. That way, we can trade these things without being fearful of whether we're going to lose out on a trade or not. So that's what we do. Everybody say, "Oh, it's too risky to trade. Too risky to trade." It's only risky if you make it risky. If you don't set stop losses, if you don't set stop buys, yeah, then it's risky. But man, if you set these things in motion, you'll be in good shape. So let's zoom in a little bit more and see if we can count what's going on here in this 4th wave. So let's see. Let's go down to the 15-minute chart. That's probably a good place to go. All right, there we go. We'll kind of double click there. There we go. All right, here we are. So here, let's just correct that a little bit. So a 4 wave will be, so what we do when we try to count this, we see, okay, let's get that out of the way from it. We know we're putting in the 4. Now the 4 could already be in, because 4 is going to be ABC. So what we do is we click on our ABC tool. So this could be the count. My kids are back there, so there you go. That could be ABC, and that's done, right? Which I don't think so, but it could be. Let's see. They're having a lot of fun back there. So let's see. So let's see if this ABC is put in. So we need to have 3 or 5 waves on the A. We got to have 3 waves on the B, and we have to have 5 waves on the C. So the question is, do we have that? Okay. So let's kind of zoom in and count here. All right. So let's count. We got, I'll just do my sub-wave counting tool here. Let's go. Let's go 1, 2. No, I only see 3 waves here. So A's got 3 waves. I think we're good. Let's delete that. Looking like 3 waves here, really. And I would say probably that the division, because it's looking so 3 wave-ish, you might say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it could be, but I don't see 5 waves in that 3. So I'm more likely to say that's 1, 2, 3, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we'd have to go to a smaller time frame to figure that out. And we can do that. So if I click down to a smaller time frame, we can see that as well. Here's A, and it's a little easier to see now. So it may indeed be 5 waves. In fact, it is 1, 2. Actually, yeah, and there's 5 waves there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 3, 4, and 5. There's 5 waves. So there's an A. Now in B, we're going to have 3 waves, and it's a little harder to see sometimes, but basic. And this one is actually pretty tough to see. But here's a 1, there's a 2, and there. This is putting in your 3 wave. Okay, so now that brings us to A, B, C. Now the reason I think this is C is because this right here comes lower than that. Had this stayed above it and then gone back up, this would have been like a 1, 2 and going up. So this is a C. So the question is, can we find 5 waves within the C? So let's see if we can count them. We got 1, we got 2. Now 3 is going to have 5 waves. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or is it 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? This is 3, and this is what I think it is. This is putting in your 3 right here, and then our 4 is heading up here, and then 5 is going to end up coming down here. Let me zoom. This is what I believe is happening, but I'm looking at this and say, if this doesn't come down soon, I'm going to think something's odd. So we're going to be watching that carefully. But I think this is going to end up coming down this way for our final 5. So our C wave actually is going to have 5 waves. So we've got 1, 2, this will be 3. We're putting in our 4 right now. We're finishing it up most likely. 4 is going to be divided into 3 waves, and I believe that division is going to look something like this: 1, A, B, C. That means within this C there should be 5 waves, and you can pretty much see 5 waves being formed right there, and we're starting to head down for our 5th wave. Now, what the interesting thing, you see how the lines are starting to fill up. I'm doing all the sub counts and everything. What's interesting is that when you do a triangle, you actually form an ABCDE pattern, we often call it, right? So let me show you what that kind of looks like, and I want to show you why it forms that way. So you've got an A, there's our B, we came down for our C, we're just making our D, and then E right there. Now, what E, and then from there, once it does that, there's usually a breakout. There's usually a breakout after those 5 waves of a triangle. That's generally what happens. And often you see people in charting, they do those triangles, and you've seen me draw those triangles maybe. So you say, like, what's going on there? That's actually an ABC correction where you have a one wave. The one wave. Let's see. Let me see if I can do the count here. See if I can change the colors so it's clear. There's red. There we go. Easy. 1, 2, 3. The 4 wave actually comes up even with the bottom of the 1 wave, and that's very normal. That's a normal Elliott wave rule and pattern. So after the 4, then you're going to put in the 5. 5 waves, or the leg 5 of that 5 wave structure, and it's going to that 5th wave is going to have 5 subwaves, and so this is where it gets tricky. But you'll see it. Maybe you'll have an aha moment like I did when I first saw and understood this. Let's see. Let's do pink here. See if that works. So what you're going to actually see is this come down at 1. It'll come back probably to retest this trend line right here, and that's your 2, and it'll come down here to 3. And that finishes our E. And then 4 is going to end up coming here, testing this 1 range again, 4, and then your 5th wave is going to come down here. And then, so it's going to look like there's a breakdown or a breakout down of that triangle. And then what's going to end up happening is once that breakout happens, it's going to finish that correction, that big, larger ABC correction, which that's what this line is right there. It's going to finish it, and then we're going to go up for our fifth and final leg of this correction, this big ABC correction where we started. So that means there's going to be 5 big waves coming up. We're heading up, and that's exciting. So we're going to head up past 70 most likely, and I don't have a target yet. I haven't even looked at it. But that's where this big hodgepodge of lines came from. Basically, it's the sub counts of what I'm seeing in the market. And right now, let me clear this out so you can kind of see it here. You can see that this 4 wave looks to be about finished, and you can see that this dark line there it's coming down. It's coming down now. We're going to come down in 5 waves, which will take all night and into the morning most likely to develop. And so we'll watch that and see what happens. So I'll be watching Litecoin. This is what I do on my phone. This is what I do when I'm trading. Is I just follow these counts. I look at it, I count it, I see, and as the chart is made, I count them and I see if they're put in, and we see where we are. And we're constantly making adjustments as I did yesterday, like that. So I hope that kind of gives you a just a basic understanding of why my lines and my charts look like they do. And when we do our YouTube live session, you'll be able to join me live on YouTube, and I'll kind of go through the basics of Elliott wave. I'll make it a lot simpler than what you just saw, and we'll just start through the basics, and I'll show you the basics of the Elliott wave pattern. 5 waves, 3 corrective, and I'll show you how to actually draw these lines on a chart so you can start playing with charting yourself. And that's how I learned. I just basically opened up TradingView. I got an account. You can get a free account, and I just started playing with charts. I started drawing lines, and I started listening to people on YouTube, and I started reading books and reading websites, and I just began learning how to count Elliott waves, and I've gotten pretty decent at it, and I need to get better, and I'm working on that. So, but the better we get, the better trades we can make based on the information we see. So yeah, that's where we are. If you have any questions, just throw them in the comment section of where this post is, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, I hope that was helpful to you, and I know there's a lot more to say, and it might be a lot more confusing than it was helpful, but you can kind of see where we're headed. So my prediction is we're going to be somewhere down here, 62 range, 61 range, somewhere in that. And let me just show you quickly how I kind of come up with numbers to kind of start looking at and see if this is going to be it. We take our fib retracement tool, and I go from the swing low down to the swing high, which I need to make it a little smaller here so we can get it on the chart. Go right to the top of that swing high. And what happens is often there's a retracement of at least 50%. So, I said the other day my first target was going to be at 64, 65. Well, here you go. Here's where those numbers came from, 64, 65. But then that was our first target. But really the final target is going to be down here at the 0.618 level, 62 to 61. Man, if it goes a little lower than that, might even come down here to the 786 level, 60. So anywhere from 60 to 63, we should see our bottom here, this correction, before we go up with the wave 5. So that's where we begin looking at where we're going to end up as waves. And what's even better than that, once we have a kind of a target, we wait for the Elliott waves to start playing out, and you can kind of see as just a visual ratio of, man, that looks a lot like it's going to end at a certain point. And I can use, like last night, I almost guessed the top to the T. I said somewhere around 66.80, and sure enough, it hit right around there before it went down and came back up. So anyway, that's kind of the way I can get a closer estimation as we get close. All right, hope this video was helpful to you, and hey, y'all have a great day.